Hello and welcome to Robin's TV Extra Time, where we take an in-depth tactical look at Bristol City's performances across the season. Today we are reflecting on a famous win against Norwich City, a 2-0 win on the road at Carrow Road. The first time City have done that in over 15 years, can you believe it? Lots to look at and lots to like as well. My name is Alex Wood, I'm your host for this one, joined in the studio by Leroy Rossignol, former City striker. Leroy, we mentioned in our sort of post-match reflections, that really was a solid performance today. 2 goals, a clean sheet, a first win at Carrow Road in however long. A good day out for Bristol City. Yeah,
really good day out, especially off the back of the Sheffield United result. The performance was really good tactically. You have to give Liam a lot of credit for getting it tactically right, but the players have got to implement it. And they implemented it brilliantly. They worked extremely hard. You know, we were really concerned with the injuries and the suspensions, you know, how they were going to cope. You know, they went with a back three, and a couple of players, you know, Cam Pring playing at left side of 3, Aidan Roberts as left wing back, George Earthy at right wing back. They were terrific. Absolutely terrific. It looked like they've been playing it for all their careers, you know, and that was really pleasing, you know, against a Norwich side with an impeccable home record, almost impeccable home record. To go and perform like that was really good and it was really enjoyable.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've sort of been banging on all day about how long it's been since City have gone there and beaten Norwich at Carrow Road, but as you say, they haven't lost at Carrow Road in over a year. You know, this isn't just a historical statistic, but Norwich are really good at home.
They're really good at home. They're a really good team. They've got the best player in the league at the moment in Borja Science. You know, he scored 11 goals and obviously and all this curse and stuff. But again, you know, players don't read that stuff, and they didn't read that stuff. What they did read is what the information that Liam Manning had given them, and they implemented it brilliantly to a man. You know, every single one of those players did their jobs today, and that's all you can ask of a manager. And then you get the performance, and funnily enough, a result comes right in behind it as well. Exactly. So yeah, a really good day for Liam and all the staff, and now they can have a deserved break. They can have a deserved break, but as I said in the post-match, the physios, the physiotherapists, all those injured players are going to be in. They're going to be working hard to kind of supplement the squad. But the squad that he was left with did him really proud today.
Absolutely. Let's get into it, shall we, and take a look at some of our clips from this one then. And I think the first thing you were very keen to highlight really was that collective effort today in terms of the press. You know, we talked about Liam Manning getting it spot on tactically, but the players implementing it. Yeah,
and when they had the opportunity to press high, they did that, and they went all in. And when you press, you have to go all in, because while this is going on in front, the back line are man for man at the back end of the pitch. And this was a penalty shot. It wasn't a penalty, but just see, look at the red shirts and the counter press when they lost it. It's Mehmeti who tries to press this time, and then it's the Nahki Wells almost gets his trying to give it to Anis in that high position. And again here, Anis winning the ball and then being positive. They didn't want to go back; they wanted to go forward, and he wins a free kick. So you can imagine that if I was impressed with that, the effect that would have had on the Norwich crowd, because they would have been impressed with that. The Norwich players not so impressed, because it put them on the back foot. And I can imagine they've been playing at home and teams have allowed them to play, let them play at the back. The two centre-halves get on the ball. They didn't have players swarming all over them. McGuane on this occasion had a really good game again as well in the centre of that midfield. They've never been allowed to do that at Carrow Road. Teams have dropped off and said, yeah, you go and play at the back, you can do what you want. City said, no, we're gonna get right on top of you. So McGuane, Bird, you know, Knight in behind the press of Mehmeti, Wells were just absolutely terrific. That then when the ball did go long, you saw McNally, Pring and Viner all contesting the ball, and that was key. They weren't too deep because they weren't allowed to drop it into the front players, because when you're pressing, sometimes the keeper can just drop it into the front player, it comes off, which was what Marcelinus wanted to do. No, they were really tight to him. They were really brave in the way they defended, executed it brilliantly.
Absolutely. I was going to say, I mean, Norwich was surprised by the way that City approached the game today, tactically, in terms of the formation, that high press, that's the press that they had to such good effect. I think it caught them out a little bit.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. You know, the first 5 minutes were a little bit shaky, and you felt, oh, they're a good side. They looked a good side. They passed it. And then when City, as I said, when they had the opportunity to press high, they did. You know, and the energy that they showed, you know, so soon after the energy that they used up at Aston Gate against Sheffield United was absolutely exemplary. It really was good. And the way they showed them into certain areas, you know, they showed them into the centre. There was only one time I remember in the first half when Mehmeti jumped too early, allowed Norwich to get out, and they got wide in a couple of passes. But once they didn't do it again. And so, yeah, I was really pleased with that attitude. Not only without the ball, but when they got the ball, they played forward early and they played forward with purpose. Everything they did with a real purpose, and that's why they got to a positive result.
Let's take a look at some of the other clips as well from today, and in particular praise George Earthy, who was fantastic, deputising in a position that isn't his, at right back in the first half. And you imagine, Borja Sainz, top league goal scorer for Norwich City, probably was looking at that formation thinking, well, that's exactly where I'm going to be going today and attacking.
It would have been exactly where he'd been. No, absolutely. He would have seen what happened if George Earthy was playing there. He was been rubbing his hands together because George Earthy isn't a right fullback, and he's played against right fullbacks, and he's shown them a clean pair of heels on most occasions this year. So the key is you nullify the opposition, but you've got to nullify their best player. This was the very first time that he got the ball. Tries to come inside. Notice McGuane is backing him up as well. McGuane got there really quickly as well to help him out. And then George got his position right. He sussed it out. A couple of times he went forward and he picked out that position. This time he's a little bit high, allows the ball to go forward, but what he does, he gets back, makes him come inside, and then you've got Weiner and McGuane actually making go away from goal, and the danger is totally dissipated. And this is really key. Get this starting position brilliant from Zach Weiner. Notice none of them are trying to touch him as well. Didn't want to put a free kick, staying on their feet, saying keep going across. You're going away from goal and making him pass it. And so the position of Weiner, the position of McGuane backing him up was really important as well. That was really excellent. And every time Norwich got into their dangerous positions, City stayed on their feet. They were aggressive but on their feet. No one diving in, no one making too rash decisions, only a couple of times. But it was well outside the box. I remember Camping giving the free kick away late on in the game where he's a little bit rash, but it was well outside the box. And I thought that was really well disciplined. I thought George Earthy epitomised, being asked to do something, go and do it absolutely to the best of his ability. And it totally nullified the best player in the league. He didn't have a kick.
Absolutely. So that he would have been a contender for player of the match, as would Anis Mehmeti, who of course scored the opener in the first half. Let's take a look, shall we, perhaps if we can, at some of the goals that defined this game. And again, this goal really coming from that collective effort, starting with George Earthy, and it ends up with a Mehmeti scoring. Every
single moment of this goal are important to Anis getting the ball at the top end of the pitch, and that George wins that duel with Sainz. Max Bird gets in that space where Doyle has vacated, can't get back in, hits a great diagonal. Hayden high on that left hand side into Anis in space, and what he does, he turns in no space at all and finishes absolutely brilliantly. Every single action they got absolutely right. And I did say early on, with Doyle, we know Doyle got forward. Can Max get in that little space and can he utilise it? I didn't think it'd be that good, to be honest, to get it and get turned and hit a 40-yard diagonal into the feet of Hayden and Roberts. But what Hayden does well, gets his head up, and he's in a nice pocket of space there. But he's still got plenty to do, and he does it really well. Sticks it through the legs of Duffy, and it was a really nice goal, really well constructed and really well finished. And he got City off to a really good start, but what it did, you can imagine that the lift in confidence, the lift in belief off the back of that goal after. Again, I keep going back to Sheffield United, but everybody, that last kick of the game goal against Sheffield United almost sucked the air out of the room, didn't it? Totally sucked the air out of the room, and the players would have been feeling exactly the same. So they needed to find a way to get back that confidence and that belief, and that was the moment.
Well, they deserved that lead, and I think you're right to highlight the response to Tuesday night, because I thought the way they managed this game, from getting that lead but keeping it, retaining it, and ultimately doubling it. We're going to sort of throw it forward to the second half, I think, to highlight Naki's goal. And of course, a man in red-hot form at the moment. I think that was his 500th career appearance, 34 years old. But he's suddenly found a goal-scoring streak, which has been in his career all the way through. But 5 goals now he's got, and he looks good for it.
He does look good for it. And what I was also impressed, I mean, we judge forward players by goals, but on numerous occasions, Naki, Anis and Max Bird, was playing high at the pitch, they drop back in to win the ball. This was one where he's got in front of it, he's not running back to win it, and then they play forward, and then you've got the energy and run of Jason Knight. This run from Max Bird is so important, because it clears the space for and defines what Jason Knight is going to do in terms of his pass, and he knows the man to give it to in the box is Naki Wells. Again, he's got lots to do, but Naki knows where the goal is, and that's the key. Anis then plays forward. I love this run from Max Bird, and I do love it. Just see what it does to the Norwich defenders. They all come drifting across, but Naki, not at one time does he have to look up and look at the goal, because he knows exactly where the goal is, knows where he is on the pitch. So all he's got to do is concentrate on his technique. First touch, a little bit bouncy, but that's fine. I hit it on the half volley into the roof of the net. And that's what he means to do that, because he knows at that angle that's the correct finish, because he's done it on so many occasions, and keeps that brilliant vein of form going. And at that time you thought, yeah, 2-0. Now we really do need to manage the game properly. Do not allow Norwich a sniff to get back in the game, because you know that if they do get an opportunity, they do get a goal, you're up against it, because momentum changes. Momentum never changed.
No. I was going to say, by and large, they didn't really have anything else, bar Shane Duffy, a couple of headers off target from set pieces. But that really is quite telling. I was going to sort of highlight the clean sheet following Tuesday night. I mean, that'll do Max, that'll do the defenders the world of good in terms of their confidence levels, won't it?
It certainly will, and it will show you that it's not just about personnel, because by the way, most of the defenders were injured. Most of the defenders were injured. You got two full backs playing centre half. You got Jules Earthy. It's about your attitude to how you defend, and what Max was asked to do today, which wasn't too much. He did absolutely right. His decision making was absolutely spot on. Just one kick I remember where he's tried to drop it into the front player. No, under pressure, just put your butts through and get your team up and get the shape, and he did that. Absolutely right. So that will, again, a boost to his confidence after he got criticism for his decision making. But criticism isn't a problem in football. Football is always going to get criticised, and you know what? As footballers, you're going to have to get used to it, because that's the game. It's how you react, and what I'm really pleased with, they've reacted to that criticism properly, put it behind them, and now looking forward.
And I think across the board today, solid performances, 8 out of 10s, I think, from every player in a City shirt, if not higher. If I was to maybe ask you for a player of the match, if you could, based on what you saw today, whether it was the goals, whether it was the press, who would you be tempted to give it to?
Well, I'll start at the back, because I thought Cam Pring was terrific, and Ali was great at the heart of that defence. George Earthy did a terrific job on science. I thought Knight led by example in that midfield, never stopped running, as did Bird and Maguire in that midfield. But it's got to be Anis, even though Naki scored a wonderful goal. I think I've mentioned all the players. I hope I have.
That's all of them, yeah.
I think that's all the players, but it has to be Anis, because he's the one who set the tone. The first few times, that first 20 minutes when he's taken them on, he's got his goal, he's put crosses in the box, he's got shots off. It's just good, and he's working back and winning the ball. When the ball was in the midfield players couldn't get up to challenge. He pressed from the front and won it on numerous occasions, and he won it for the second goal as well. So if I had to pick a man of the match, it would be Anis today. But I think they all deserve a round of applause. I think City fans should be really proud of that.
I think they will, and I think we're delighted with a long trip home back to Bristol this evening, 480-mile round trip, no less.
Wow.
But all round, I mean, I thought Liam Manning today, with his tactics, sort of in-game formation tweaks as there were, got it absolutely spot on.
He did get absolutely spot on, and I don't know, I'd love to speak to him why he took Roberts from that left-hand side to the right-hand side. But what he did, he put it right again, because for just that 5 minutes, Norwich found, Cernak found space down that right-hand side. He looked a little bit disjointed. All of a sudden, Cam had to come out of his slot and defend wide, because he wasn't getting any sort of cover in front of him. But then he changed it back. He brought Hirokawa on. He came on that right-hand side, did as good a job as George Earthy down that right-hand side. Hayden, who we were saying, is he fit enough? He didn't stop running up and down that left-hand side. Came back, they looked really balanced again. So yeah, maybe that period where they made the change, were a little bit disjointed, but he changed it back, and we were absolutely fine. So yeah, really good job by everybody.
Absolutely, and let's throw it forward to the next fixture, which is now a couple of weeks away because of the international break. There'll be trip, I think actually home to Burnley on Saturday, November 23rd. Big test, obviously, in terms of championship level, but international break, a good opportunity for, as you said, the physio department, the medical department, to get some of these players back and give Liam a full-strength squad for that game against Burnley. Absolutely,
and the boys have been playing to get a good rest as well, because they've played a lot of minutes, played a lot of football, and they deserve it. So obviously only the one defeat in numerous games. I watched Burnley on Friday night against West Brom. I fell asleep after about 40 minutes. But what it was two sides who were tactically very well aware, very well organised defensively. They didn't give anything away. There wasn't really anything going on in the final third. So it'll be a real test, because Burnley got some good players still in their hangover from their relegation from the Premier League. In Scott Parker, they got a really good young manager, and so yeah, it's a good test, but it's one that Bristol City should be really looking forward to. And you know what, I'm really looking forward to it as well. Absolutely, as am I. Well, look, Leroy, thank you very much for your thoughts and for joining us here today. We'll see you, of course, in a couple of weeks when you're back here
in the studio. But for today, thank you.
Thank you, Alex.
Indeed. And of course, fans watching along on Robins TV here today, this has been Robins TV Extra Time, reflecting on a famous win on the road at Norwich City. We can abandon those statistics now because City have rewritten those here today. So yes, we'll be back in a couple of weeks' time. There you go. You can throw that out. We'll be back in a couple of weeks' time post-international break for the home game against Burnley. They do not come much bigger than that. Thanks for watching here today. Thanks for your company. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.